Today I'm trying to button up the back half of this motor, and this will conclude the rest of the bell housing jobs I had to do for now. Hi, I'm Chris, and I'm an artist. This is my 1988 Silver Eagle Model 15 bus. 4 years ago, the motor decided to let go on me, and I've been picking away at it ever since. Here at my shop, you never know what jobs, projects, or shenanigans I'll be up to. So follow along with me as I try to get this bus back on the road and get into future projects. This is 11th Hour Custom. I'm just trying to get the bulk of the grease off. I'm going to take this and tape up all the outlets and stuff and glass bead it and then paint it. I want to just get rid of some of that large scale rust and just make it look nice. I only plan on doing this once in my life. I got enough projects as it is. At least this way, if it fails in the future, it'll have a clean base to be rebuilt. That's a horrible way of looking. I'm trying to put together a lot, like an allotment of stuff to be primered and painted. And this is one of the things, the cover I made for where the generator went. So I'm going to kind of line this back up with the mount on the Detroit and just recircle these bolt holes and see how much I need to drill a mount. So I just want to go over with a pencil and mark them and then make sure this fits. Then clean this up, make it nice and clean, get rid of all the edges. This will get primered too. And this goes here. Like an idiot, when I made this cover, used a plasma cutter to cut the holes like a moron instead of just drilling them. I guess because I was using a plasma cutter, I figured I torqued it, and immediately, of course after I did them, I stopped. I didn't go all the way out. To go back to center, I die grinded the hole back sideways, and then I'm just going to put it on the drill press and try to get these where I need them to be. The thing's actually a little big. I'm going to get these close little by little. Then if I have to grind it the outside down a little more, I'll do that. I'll trace it. I'm going to get the holes where I need them. So this is just going to be a cover for this. It's going to get painted and all. And I made like a little disposable wood board because it's always hard to clamp things in these little vices. So so I just made this to clamp in here, and then I can clamp my panel of this and drill the holes straight without it having to move. So the holes that I need are 1/2 inch, and I need 1 3/8. So I'm not going to go right to 1/2 inch. I'm going to start with 7/16. I could kind of center these holes again and salvage what I messed up. So after this, we'll check it with the block and we'll see how close we are. So this hole here is the small one. Where they're at now, we're pretty close. They look all right. I think we can go up. And we'll drill that. I'm going to drill that 1 3/8, the bottom one with the arrow on it, and see it. Maybe I'll do 7/16 and get, because there's a lot of cushion there. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do 7/16 anyway because of the, or almost 1/2 inch because of the stud. It's a 1/2 inch stud. We'll do that. So I'm not going to drill that one any bigger because I forgot that adapter plate's not on there. So one thing good about this bit here is we can take that little bit of crap off of there without having to file it. It don't have to be super tight in the vise.
dokie. I think that's it. Alrighty. Alright, so that works. Nothing's rubbing. I just clean the edges up and then that can be primered. That'll work. It was one of the things I had to get done to button up the back of the motor.
Alright, so I cleaned up my bench in preparation to get this glass beaded. So I want to tape up anything that I could possibly get dust into. Cap it all off, tape it off, and make it so it can take a little bit of a beating in the glass bead cabinet. Whenever I come across parts with plastic plugs or whatever, I save all the plugs. So just to give you an example, this box is nothing but plugs. So I try to keep them just for sandblasting and capping stuff off. So I gotta get a new inlet housing for this, and I have another compressor off the other engine, but I gotta see what the air intake looks like. If not, I'll have to change it, I guess. I'm trying to keep all the stock stuff on it. I wore out 3 of these Leatherman, and they used to be lifetime guarantee, and now they only guarantee them for 25 years. So I gotta remember to turn them in quicker when I break them. I got it back up at home. This one's getting beat. This is definitely something I use every day. So I'll leave these caps on even through the painting process and the primering and all, just to keep dirt and stuff out. I couldn't find my duct tape. Today was a primering day, and I got some primering done. My compressor, the power steering pump, the intake outlet. I'm going to paint that stuff with this platinum color I mixed up. And then the air compressor I'm going to try to paint like a bluish tint. I don't want to make it metallic. Let me show you what's going on in the booth. This is the stuff we got primered. I'm just gonna let it cure enough that I can flip that compressor over, paint the other side, and it's gonna get clear coated. I'm just gonna show you with these drives, like I went through this. This is one of the things that I forgot with the bolts. And this one was on this motor already. And this is the type of cover, obviously, that goes over this. The beveled cover, and then this would be one that would be blanked off, which was on the bell housing that was wrong, just without the gear drive. So like in these gear drives, there's these little puck things that go in here. And you would stick one of those in. And I don't know what they're made out of. They're like almost like a fiber, like a Bakelite type material. I don't know what it is, but they go in there, and then you would put something in there, and I'm leaving this one in there because I do have this drive, which is like another pulley setup, which I think was bolted in here. And at least that gives me the option to put that back. Now the only problem with this, and I probably never be able to use it, is that my compressor goes right here. But I'm gonna put the compressor on first and then see how close it is. I'll keep it aside for an option because it's a nice option to have. All right, so we're gonna do a test run on this compressor here. Make sure I got the right bolts. I really don't think that adapter will bolt on here. So this is where that pulley would run. These are the original bolts from this pulley that go to the bell housing, which are the ones I need lengthwise. And one of them has a nut on it. So it just goes to show you which ones go all the way through. So you can see how tight this would be on the compressor. Now granted, you could do it, but man, getting the belts on and off of there would be like, see how tight it is? Look how tight that would be against the compressor. So I'll just put the cover on. So I'm gonna leave that drive on there. At least I know where it's at. I pulled that off. I got the bolts cleaned up. Got my cover cleaned up. This cover. And these gaskets have like a little silicone on them. I'm sure that helps seal it. The ones that were like that worked well. So this will kind of glue itself in place. And then we'll put this up in place, bolt it down, and we'll bolt the cover down. Smooth, a lot smoother than I expected. So I changed the air intake too on this because the other one was aluminum and it like literally rotted to pieces. So this is the one from the other compressor that I was going to put on here. We'll torque this down and then this will be done. Thank God I didn't have to put this on in the engine bay. So we'll just crank these down a little bit. And here's the thing with the alternator. The alternator that was on this bus, the DN50 alternator. I'll show a picture of it. I got it over here. I've been debating whether or not just to rebuild it and put it back on and not worry about it. And I got another alternator here in a box, which is less amps. Here's the thing is, nowadays everything's going to electric. And I think I'm be better off putting the big amp alternator on because my whole bus is electric. It has no propane. Then if I run solar panels and do, you know, if I have it that long and do all that stuff, I'm kind of already set up for larger stuff. And if I want to add a second alternator, which is what I've been debating, then I'll have even more power. So if I get better batteries or things like that, or more batteries for the house, then I'll be fully equipped electrical wise. This is the cover, and I think there's 1 or 2 bolts that gets nuts. So while I'm here, I'll put a little glue on there. That the gasket that had come off of this cover was exactly that Felpro gasket. It was on there. So that orange strip that's in those gaskets really worked because man, that thing was like glued on there, and it wasn't this kind of glue. So these copper washers act like gaskets, basically, so oil doesn't come out. All right, well that's on there after sorting out the bolt lengths. A couple weird lengths. This one here, and there's a couple shorter ones and a couple long ones, but they fit. It's weird, but that's on. It's done. All right, let's hope this is the last time for this installment. I'm gonna score this here and here. Pull this off. Clearly there's more than 2 bell housings, because there's one with this extra drive on it that neither one of mine had. I don't feel like getting my X-Acto knife. I'll just do it this way. It's not just good, it's good enough. So I double check these bolts, they're tight. And then I'm just going to double check this and the way that it goes in, because I think it goes in that way. I'll just make sure that this fits in like so, which it looks like it does. I don't know if you guys can see this. So this is the plate here. As you can see, there's a recess here for this. I'm gonna just give this a tap. That's what was missing last time. This fits over that ring, and it does. All right, so we're gonna put a little surprise, surprise copper coat on there, and then we're gonna go through the bolt dance again and see if we can find the right bolts. This will be the one that leaks. On this adapter here, there's these two little tits. So that kind of just snaps it in place when it's there, and it holds it there. Literally just pops in like that, and that's it. I shut the camera off just so I can get my bolts sorted. This one is one size. This one was shorter than this one, and this one was roughly the same size as that one. So they're all different lengths, and you can see this one here has a nut on it, and this one down here has a nut on it. Those are different length bolts, obviously. And they're all goofy, and I know these are all mixed matched from both blocks, and I don't ask me what goes where, because I don't know. They fit, and they had room to tighten without like catching just a couple of threads, so that's what I did. So I also get a couple of 1/2-inch nuts to throw on these studs here, just to clamp that down since there's glue on this gasket, because obviously pulling it up that way will you know, make it crooked. So I'm just running that in just to snug it down. And then we're gonna put this power steering pump. And the reason why I turned the camera back on too is of course I forgot something. And I thought I was done, which I forgot this. This is the drive for the 2 fingers of the thing. But with this adapter in here, if you're ever in this position, this is for the power steering pump. It fits in here, right in that slot. And then you could turn it up, and it just flops right in those 2 keys. So I did forget it, but it's in there now. I put it in. This was the extra one for that side. So that's done. And this is the power steering pump. This obviously goes here, and those keys fit. So we torque that down, and we'll get that on, and then that's going to be the end of the motor for now. So this pump, see the spring on the end? That was on the pump, and someone had RTV'd it on there. So I used that right stuff and just did the same thing. It's not pretty, but it holds it in place, and I guess that pushes against that gear there. This thing here, oh shit. So you know what? I guess this has to go on here first. All right, so the gasket's on there because we need to get these teeth in to get it to seat all the way. And it won't seat unless you get those teeth in there, which there's an inspection hole on the side. So I could always turn the motor over, I guess, and get that clocked with these 2 keys and see if that helps. But I was kind of hoping to finagle it in there. Hey, you know what? I think you might have to do that. You know what? You do have to do that because, here, I'll show you. There's, see that little rib in the bottom there by where the gap goes? So that tooth on the pump won't go past that rib. So we have to line it up. And I guess once it seats, the teeth clear that little rib. So we'll do that. I'll turn it over. You can see where this, actually, I got that piece in the right way. You can see where the spring was pushing against it for all those years. So I'm gonna turn this motor over and then we'll try it again. So there we go. We're in line. I can't get the camera in there to film the lineup, but you can watch it. If it sits flat, it's lined up. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this. You know, it's gonna be pure luck. Oh man, I need to get my arms a break. Oh, there we go. How about that? That was luck. Just gonna throw these in there. Let's make sure that's started. The only major problem, well, it's not a problem, but you know, obviously putting that alternator in there is, you know, it's 100 pounds. I'm definitely taking the gear off the other one. I'm gonna put it on there. I mean, keep it aside, and then if I put it on there, I have it. That's it. And I'm gonna dig out the starter and the alternator and see what I got to do to get those either rebuild or, well, the starter was good. It could be cleaned up and painted. I know that worked. The alternator worked, but it was missing 3 ball bearings. One's in the alternator. So I'm going to see what it is to get a rebuild kit for that. I just do it myself. To get to this alternator, you have to have the radiator out. And I don't want to have to do that. So that's why I'm starting to lean towards rebuilding the alternator and just putting it back on and run the oil line and all that stuff. And you know, it's a good alternator. I may do that and not even use this. Last piece of the puzzle here. Let's coat this. It's not in there. It's a little crooked. Oh well. Go get some washers and nuts and stuff. What do you think?
Looks good. Too bad you'll never be able to see that.
Well, that's the point. Whoever buys it can figure this out. It's a hidden
You're
message.
selling it?
No, I mean, if I ever sell it, someone can climb around the back and go like, it's not in here. What you're looking for, it's not in there. I'll explain later. This isn't the gear you're looking for. This is the part of the video where I explain what the deal is with the plate over this side of the bell housing. Being 4 years that the bus has been off the road, my thought process has changed several times. Originally, I said to myself that I was going to eliminate this 50 DN alternator, the big alternator that runs off this gear. And then I went back to saying that the 50 DN alternator worked, and I would just freshen up the bearings, put it back on, and I would have a 280 amp alternator to use. Being that the bus is mostly electric, it would be nice to have the extra power. This is where the big mistake was that I mentioned in the other videos. I changed the bell housing so I had everything where it originally was plumbed to. And then I decided, you know what, while I change the bell housing, I might as well put the alternator back on and have the option to put the alternator back. So after the bell housing was on, I said, you know what, let me get this gear off, which is this gear right here. So that's the gear that drives the 50DN. And the minute I pulled the gear off, I noticed that the cam gear was completely different. The other motor, it looks like this gear. It was a depressing moment, and I filmed it, and I was being depressed. I already changed the bell housing. And I looked at that several times, and it never even crossed my mind that with the 6 bolts in there, and I'll talk about feeling stupid, none of the original equipment on the bus is on it. We're just literally charging batteries and running lights and the 12 volt, whatever the 12 volt system is. I'm done with the big gear driven alternator. So I accepted the fact that this isn't going to run because I'm not pulling the bell housing off again. That will explain the lettering you see on the cover that I made. So we're going with the belt driven alternator off the front, which means that I think it's internally regulated, so we'll probably have to eliminate the regulator on the frame. I'm not sure, I gotta double check that. I haven't got my facts together yet, but I'll have to make brackets. In the future, there may be a rebuild video on the alternator because I did order the parts. But now you know, if you run that alternator, you gotta have that gear. So if you didn't know, like I didn't know, now you know. Thanks for watching. Well, hope you learned something, because I did. I learned I'll never do this again.